Hello again. In the last episode, I started this mountain sunset painting outside on a calm, warm summer evening. As I mentioned last time, I've long wanted to paint Mount Rainier at sunset in the summer. The rock faces are exposed because the snow level is high. There are some great views of the mountain from where I live. In the last episode, I had just enough time to mix paint to match the fleeting light and to put down a few color notes on the panel. I also drew the outline of the mountain, its faces, ridges, and valleys. In this episode, I'll show you how I take that information, the paint I mixed, and the reference photos I took, and finish the painting in the studio. Beautiful evening, beautiful sunset going on. Well, the sun went down much faster than I was expecting, so I didn't make the progress that I wanted to on site. So I'm going to finish the painting up here in the studio. First step is to take a look at what I got and check the colors against my reference photo. Here's where I am on the painting. I have the sketch down and the sky roughed in. Not much more than that though. The light was changing very fast. Here's the reference photo I like. As the sun was setting, the colors became really beautiful. Pinks and blues. And the mountain really is highlighted by that yellow sunlight. Here's what I have on the palette as far as mixed paints. I mixed these as the sun was setting, so I need to go through each one now quickly and transfer it to a clean palette. For instance, these were the sky colors that I mixed. So a little bluer color here, check that against the blue. Now it can be challenging checking against the reference photo because it's really bright. It floods out the paint on your knife. So what you can do is change the lighting in your room so that it's more directly on your knife. Also check against the color on your painting. The painting, even though I didn't get very far, is a good reference. It captured the light at that time, where the photo is always enhanced or slightly different from reality. Here I'm adding a little medium to re-wet the paint. The medium is equal parts Gamsol, liquid, and stand oil. Oil paint will dry and stiffen at different rates, depending on if you added any medium when you mixed it the first time. Also, depending on the brand, the quality, the pigment type. For instance, burnt umber and titanium white. These both typically dry very fast, in 7 or 8 hours. Cad red, on the other hand, will stay wet on its own for days. You can safely re-wet paint as long as you don't have a skin on the old paint. If there is a skin, there's a good chance that skin will not fully break down as you remix it, as you re-wet it, and it will show up as particles in the paint, and you'll have to pick it out. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell as well so you get notified when I upload a new video. Next, I need to check the surface of the painting and make sure it is ready for me to continue. I scrape away any ridges or particles that I don't like. I found in my color checking that the sky in the painting was a little too dark and too cool or blue. I lighten and warm it with paint I just mixed. I add more yellow near the horizon and more red in the upper sky. I'm using a large synthetic soft brush. The soft brush is less likely to remove the paint that I already laid down. The blue handle brush is a large watercolor mop brush to smooth the sky. These mop brushes are great. Just be careful, they might shed hairs. Pick them out as soon as you see them. Now I switch to a synthetic flat, and using a maul stick I start to fill in the plains of the mountain. I paint the dark shades first. I find working dark to light helps to keep the painting vibrant. If I start to add white highlights too early, they tend to blend in as I paint the shadows. This causes muddy colors and kind of a mess. I also find if you want vibrant color to keep the colors separate early on. Take the pools of color that you mix and lay them down on the panel or canvas side by side without blending. Almost like one of those paint-by-number kits we used to play with as kids. I blend later, wiping out some of the hard edges. This helps to keep some spontaneity and keeps the colors vibrant. Now I have most of the darker tones in on the mountain. Even the darkest mountain values are pretty light, as you will see as I start to paint the foothills. Still using a soft synthetic flat, I paint the foothills. Since the foothills are pretty far away, they are a pretty consistent gray, green, purple tone. They are darker than the mountain, but still far from the darkest value. I preserve the darkest value for the foreground. This creates the illusion of great depth. Now I paint in the foreground conifers. This is fun. I'm working with green pools of paint. Some are more blue, some more yellow. I add in a little white, a little blue, a little red to shift the colors to suggest different species of trees and distance away. In the reference photo, there is a large deciduous tree in the foreground. It has a nice muddy yellow-green color, like the leaves have started to turn fall color early. I'm leaving gaps in the pine trees to paint in the yellow leaves later. I returned to the mountain to paint the middle tones. These are on the sunny side of the mountain, so they are very warm, yellow and red. Here I am painting the foreground light yellow tree. As usual, I start with the darkest values first, then slowly move lighter. Lastly, I'm adding and darkening the foreground fir trees. These high contrast points, especially in front of the warm mountain, really make the painting pop. Well, here's the finished painting. I think it went well. I like the end result. Definitely easier to finish the painting in the studio with the consistent light and no distractions, except for maybe the kitties wanting to go in and out. Enjoyed painting it. Thank you for joining me on this episode. After setting the painting aside for a while, I found I wasn't happy with the foreground. I repainted it, breaking that foreground yellow tree up into several smaller trees. I found this helped lead the viewer into the scene better. Check out a higher resolution image of the final painting on my website. The link is in the description. Sign up for the newsletter there as well if you'd like to see my latest artwork and to get special offers on original art and prints. As always, thank you for joining me. If you like these videos, please remember to like and subscribe.